Okay, let me just double check. All right, I think we should be good now. I think these guys can hear us. So if you don't mind, I mean, first of all, thanks for making time, to talk to we lowly streamers. I really do appreciate that. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do, for the company?
Sure thing. I'm the community manager. It's my job to take in the feedback from the community, interact with them, see where they're at in the game, what they want from the game, then convey that over to the actual DOM EU team, and then in turn it gets passed on to the actual developers. My job is to act as the link between the player base and the publisher and the producer. It's it's my goal to try to make Black Desert as successful and as positive, enjoyable of an experience as people are looking for. It involves a lot of time invested. I get to interact and talk to a lot of people. I get to see the game from a lot of different angles and try to provide what everyone is looking for. I mean, everybody's looking for that one game, the game that they've been looking for years, and the goal is to make that happen.
Well, I can tell you 100%. I mean, I'm definitely one of those people. I started gaming in the MMO space with Eve Online, and we both know it doesn't get much more sandboxy than Eve Online. And ever since I left Eve Online, it's been really, I mean, it's been so heartbreaking. Going from one MMO to the next, and hoping that MMO would give us some kind of sandboxy feeling. So it's great that we've got Black Desert now. We're able to check it out in beta, and the one thing that I can say from a gamer's perspective is I really do love the fact that, at least to me, so early on in this game's betas, and not even the betas, even before this beta here, you guys really are listening to what we have to say. And I kind of felt like you guys were going to do that, because I noticed in the Russian version, they didn't get exactly the same thing that the Koreans got. And it looks like you guys are definitely making the moves to regionalize this game. I guess that would be called localization, maybe. But
Yes.
right, to really make it something that we want, and not just, here, this is the game, take it or leave it. And I just want to say thank you to you guys for that. I think a lot of people feel the same way. So I just want to say thanks for that.
No thanks are necessary. I mean, in one of the previous project manager diaries, PM Belsazar made a comment, and we really hold true to it. Give us the chance to make our own Black Desert, and I really don't think you guys are going to be disappointed.
And it seems that way. It definitely seems that way from a completely neutral perspective. Somebody that's coming in. Because I'm not going to lie to you, Joska. I went off last night. I'm going to be honest. I found out about channels and I freaked out. I love games like Blade and Soul and Terra. They're great MMOs. But, we're talking a sandbox MMO here. We're talking about merciless. If you venture out into the world, you risk getting your butt whooped. And I was so relieved to log in this morning to find out from my community, look, Doc, calm your butt down. First of all, you can only change channels in a safe zone. And that's huge for me. So again, major props for giving us something different. Major props.
That was actually and has been an ongoing concern for the community. It's one of the biggest points of discussion. We've received so much feedback about it, whether it's going to be mega server or multi-server, or the request to have mini servers that only had one channel, or dynamically scaling channels to where how many people are online. I mean, it's been a very, very big talking point. And whenever something is that important to the community, it is our job to look into it and try to provide the best solution that we possibly can. Now, I'm sure you know, and anyone else, that there's never going to be a solution that makes everyone happy. But what we can try to do is to find the best middle ground and use that and just leverage it to make the best environment we possibly can. And that's the direction we're trying to take this. So having the multiple channels, they're there, but controlling and trying to prevent people from continuously channel hopping or using it as a way to bypass different game mechanics, that's a concern. And it's something that we will continue to take into account as we move forward. One of the things that I've tried to stress to the community and just to anyone in general is launch is right around the corner, but just because the game is launching doesn't mean that the changes are going to stop. This project, it's a living thing, and every month, every week, every day, we're going to keep looking at the game, evaluating what we have, where we're at, and which direction we want to go. So the feedback that we're getting, like the multi-server, multi-channel, etc., is actually really important to us. And as long as people keep giving us that feedback, we'll keep taking it in, reading it, listening to everyone that's involved in this. Producing an MMO like this isn't just about the publisher, it's about the people that are going to play the game.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think my biggest concern with the channel system itself, the way I don't think it could have been implemented in a better way, to be honest, because the channel system from an open world PvPer perspective, or from just someone who really appreciates a true sandbox, there really is no way to implement. The only way you could possibly implement the channel system is basically the way you guys did it. And I understand why you guys did it, because the mob grinding is such an important part of leveling. It's not like we have a quest chain that takes us from level 1 all the way up to level 55, like let's say Arcage, right? So it's a different animal. We have. I understand you guys have to be mindful of the fact that we need to be able to get those mobs. So having one mega server without channels, and having, how many people signed up for beta? I mean, how many people have purchased so far? I think the number was 400,000 or something like that. I could be way off, but having that many people on one mega server with no control mechanism for, who can access the nodes or the mobs, I mean, that would be insane. So I think you guys did it the best way. Like I said, I was totally confused when I logged in today, but then when I got the gist of how you guys did it, I think it's the best way you could possibly do it. So, if I may, obviously the major question for most players, and I know you guys get this all the time, is the pay to win. So if it's okay with you, I'm gonna put that big fat card on the table, like right off Jump Street. Boom,
Sure thing.
And I want to make very clear to my community, I'm not sponsored by Black Desert. I'm not being paid or compensated in any way to speak to this gentleman. This gentleman, the CM, literally came into the channel and whispered me and said, you know what, why don't we have a chat? So this is completely impromptu. I'm not prepared, but we're going for it, right? so major props to Joska yet again. So
on that topic, actually, yes, a lot of people that are in the community that have been here for a while, if they're in your stream at the moment, they probably are, they'll comment on it. I take 1 or 2 hours out of every day, and I go around the different Twitch channels, and I either watch or chat or interact. Twitch is one of my favorite platforms to actually get to know about games and to get to know the community. Honestly, it's one of my favorite things. Even whenever I'm sitting here working away, I normally have it pulled up on a second monitor, enjoying watching other people play this game, seeing how they play, looking for the pain points, seeing what they enjoy, and it's just one more way of taking feedback, and it's a really honest way of getting that feedback, is being able to see them play.
No, it makes sense. It's like watching a lion eat in its natural habitat versus a cage, right? I mean, let's see how he tears that damn zebra apart. So, I've looked at the cash shop briefly. I have an entire community that is dissecting the living crap out of Black Desert right now. And other than the costume prices being high, which they, a lot of people, I do feel they're a little high right now. But other than the costume pieces being high, it seems like you guys are doing a really good job of avoiding that whole pay to win thing. And I remember, I believe I read a post. I don't know if it was from you or another representative of the NA version. You guys are very familiar with other MMOs, and they will remain unnamed, and how they treaded that slippery slope and eventually, unfortunately, went the way of pay to win. How strong are you guys against that? And if there's anything you can share on some of the measures that you've taken thus far to change the game, to make sure that we don't experience that, please feel free. Would love to know it.
Actually, I can give some pretty solid examples that people that have followed the other regions, they've already seen it, and I'll gladly share it with everyone here. So if you look at the cash shop right now, under the loyalty section, there is an item. It's called the Blessing of Camasylvia. This gives you increased energy regeneration, and it gives you a 20% loot buff. I believe it's 24 hours long. This is a market item that is available for purchase in the Korean region. You can buy it, you can sell it on the auction house. It's a pretty significant buff. We're talking 20% loot gain. That's pretty big. Instead of having that available directly via the cash shop where you can spend some money and have that kind of buff, we've moved it over to the loyalty section. And the way loyalty works is every day whenever you log in, you're going to receive 100 loyalty points. This means you don't need to pay, etc. If you play the game, you'll eventually get that buff, and it's bound to you. Even at that stage, you can't sell it. That's one example. There's another item that was originally in the cash shop. Whenever you would purchase pearls, you'd get a pearl box, and there was a Shout of August, or a Shout of Aswell. What this item would do would allow you to give yourself a better chance to enchant an item, and you could use multiple of them to significantly increase your chance to successfully upgrade your weapon. Well, this was a direct tie between I pay money, I have a better chance to enchant. That's buying power with money. That's another item that has been removed from our marketplace. We've taken a lot of steps to eliminate anything that could be pay to win. This is one of the instances where I feel like saying pay for convenience and pay for aesthetic are really what is happening here. And it's a stance we've taken very strongly, and hopefully everyone will agree it's being reflected in what you're seeing in the game.
Absolutely. And I knew about the first one you mentioned. I did not know that I didn't know that there were additional changes that you guys made, to avoid the pay to win. But there it is, ladies and gentlemen, right there. They are very aware of what the term pay to win is, and and they're taking active steps.
One of your viewers, Joey Zombie, he's asked, can you buy a costume on the market and then sell it on the auction house? No. In our region, the items that you purchase from the auction house, they're yours. You cannot go and relist them. There you go. At this stage, there is no link between you monetizing and being able to sell something in-game. That is a link that has been broken.
There you go. Now, I'm going to switch gears a little bit, Jessica, because I really don't want to give too much time to the pay to win debate. I think you've nailed it. I think we can move on from it personally. My question comes in the form of PvP. Now, obviously, Black Desert, it's a sandbox MMO. So, we don't have the traditional theme park elements of instanced arenas, instanced dungeons at this exact moment in time. So that obviously gives us the open world to play in. Now, I'm being told, and forgive me for not having my own personal knowledge on this, but the sentiment from a lot of my community, at least, is that the karma penalties are a bit high for PvP as of right now. Some people feel a little restricted, like they can't really make a living or make their entire gameplay experience be about, I guess, kicking the crap out of other people. How do you guys feel about where the karma balance is right now when it comes to that PvP? Because for those of you that don't know, obviously, at level 45, you're fair game, but there are karma penalties when you do attack and kill somebody, excuse me, that does not have negative karma. So are you guys, always on the lookout for that feedback still, or do you guys feel pretty darn good about where the karma penalties are right now?
We always want more feedback. Even if we just implemented a new system, try it out, tell us what you think. And the karma system in general, that's another really big ticket. I mean, you're actually hitting the nails on the head here.
Thank you.
The karma system has been a major point of review. Compared to the other regions, our karma penalties have been lowered. That's the amount of karma you lose for the PK version or PK type of PvP, as well as the penalties have been reduced. These are changes that have been put in place. You'll experience them while you go through this beta, and it's not that these are set in stone either. We will continue to review the systems and make adjustments. PK is one of the forms of PvP that is available in the game. Outside of it, we also have the Guild War system, which I'm sure you've probably seen a
Oh,
couple of Guild War declarations go off today.
yes, I am ready. I can't wait. I can't wait.
One thing you'll notice is the cost for Guild Wars in our region is drastically lower than what you'll see in the Korean counterpart. In KR, I could have these numbers wrong at this stage. It's been a little while, but I believe it is 1 million silver from your guild's bank to declare a war. That'll give you an hour of unrestricted PvP. And then I want to say, oh, I can't remember what the hour or the 2 hour upkeep is. I want to say it was 300,000 silver every 2 hours to keep that guild war going. In our region, it's 200,000 silver to declare, and there is no upkeep. Once you've declared that war, you can fight it for as long as you want. So we cut the declaration into a fifth of what it was, and there is no upkeep. What that means is you can have up to 6 guild wars at a time. A guild can have 100 members. For a fairly small amount of silver from your guild, you can have 600 open world targets to fight against. To put it in perspective, whenever you start doing your guild quests to put money into your guild bank,
Right.
you'll easily make 300,000 silver off of one quest. That quest in a guild normally will take you anywhere from 30 minutes to the worst guild mission shouldn't take more than about 2 hours. I'd say they average about 1 hour. So 1 hour lets you go ahead and declare that guild war, and you can run that guild war for the rest of the week.
Wow. Okay. Damn. Okay. I like it. I like it. So here's another question that ties into the guild war. Now I'm a PvPer. I PvP for the sake of PvPing. One of the questions from chat, and by the way, guys, if you have questions, please ask them. Okay, please ask them. Why declare war on another guild? Is it about that? Hey man, we want a PvP. Let's do this. Is there anything gained from a guild war at all?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. The first one that comes to mind, and it's the one I think you're going to agree with, is fame and glory.
Yes.
You're the big guy. You can declare wars and you win. It looks good. It's fun. The PvP is enjoyable. Now, outside of that, at this game, you level up by going out into the open world and killing monsters. Some areas are better than others. There are some key areas that are highly sought after. They're desirable. One of them is south of Calpheon. That's at Kaya Lake. It's commonly referred to as Catfish Man, and that's because the monsters there are large catfish. You farm them, you make good money, you level up, you get your combat points. It's an ideal location. It's heavily packed with monsters. Well, it's not big enough to support everyone. So if your guild's there leveling and another guild comes in and they want that spot, you have two options. Either you let them have it, your guild isn't going to do as well, or you declare and you take it back.
I like that. Like a true sandbox.
Yes.
Sandbox. I mean, take over an area. Now, if it's okay with you, Jessica, I'm going to switch gears just a little bit here and talk about PvE. Now, I understand, of course, and we all do, Black Desert, it's a sandbox. If it's not intended to, really compete with the likes of a theme park MMO where your traditional progression and endgame content is instanced very, very heavily. Can you talk a little bit about the PvE of Black Desert? Let's say someone doesn't want to PvP as part of their main staple of gameplay. Can you give us just some ideas of what Joska would do at endgame from a PvEer's perspective, or what content is currently available? What content do you guys want to make available for us? Because if one message is very clear that I'm getting from you guys, you want this to be our Black Desert. Not Korea's, not Russia's, not anybody else. You want this to be our Black Desert. So can you elaborate on the PvE, end game and what that entails, what you guys hope to achieve with it? Go right ahead, sir.
Sure thing. Let me break this down into two different categories.
Please.
We'll start off with what exists, what has existed. A lot of people they don't know what Black Desert offers in the sense of PvE, and there's actually quite a bit there if you know what to look for. I can tell you the game itself has over 10,000 quests in it. A lot of these quests are dependent on each other, they chain together and they link. As you pointed out earlier, the game isn't exactly linear in its progression, it's honestly very lateral. There are many side quests that chain together and they form story arcs, and you learn a lot about the game and the world. I can think off the top of my head of several cutscenes that most players are never going to see, because you have to go and do a side quest chain. You learn more about some of the main bad guys in the game, and that's the type of content that, unless you're really going to focus on the PvE side, you're never even going to come in contact with. There are a lot of Easter eggs like that, and for more PvE-oriented players, that's going to be something that is fun to hunt down and find out. Outside of that, you have all of the various professions. There's fishing. There's actually 2 different types of fishing that the second one isn't very well known. The first one is you use the fishing rod, you go out to the water, you do a key entry mini game. It's, you hit spacebar and then it says hit ADSWD and you capture fish. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, I remember that.
Now, what a lot of people don't know is if you get your fishing up high enough and you build yourself a fishing boat, you can sail out into the deep ocean and get a harpoon gun. You equip it just like a fishing pole, hit spacebar, and whenever you line up on a fish, a new UI menu will pop up. And you'll have a board, and it'll actually have fish swimming around on it. And these fish are set up to where they're afraid of your mouse cursor, and they're going to avoid it. And it's your job to shoot them like Duck Hunt. And you need to hit them 2 or 3 times before you're going to get that fish. There are fish that are only capturable with this mechanic. The game has, I want to say, it's a couple hundred fish. There's quite a few, and if you want to be able to find and catalog all of them, because you actually have a fishing diary that gives you details about the fish and records the sizes that you catch, you're going to have to go out into the world and explore to find that.
Wow, that's crazy.
Another mechanic is the Amity system. That's where you interact with the NPCs, and you actually talk to them, and you talk about things you've learned in the game, knowledge you've discovered, different areas, different monsters, other NPCs. As you talk to them, you start to build up favor, and some of them will open up special shops or sell you limited items, or they'll give you new quests that before you wouldn't have access to. You can actually go one step further, and there are NPCs in the world that if you become friendly enough with them, they'll become special workers for you. They'll have extra skills, and they're usually really powerful in the region that you befriend them. And again, mechanic that's fairly hidden, but if you take the time to get to know this game, to explore the game, you're going to find these kind of things. One of the things that really set Black Desert apart for me whenever I started to play it was I logged in, and I really felt like this was new. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. Normally, whenever you get into a game, your key controls are kind of set. You have a basic idea of what to do. Follow the line, talk to the guy, get the sword, go kill the dragon. Not so much in this game. You roam around, you explore, you do the things that you enjoy, and you'll find more depth behind it. At the first glance, it can seem pretty simple, not very deep. But almost every mechanic in this game links into another system, and they all tie together to make something that's actually really complex, but it takes time to figure it out.
No, it makes perfect sense. Now, in regards to, your dungeons and your raids, how does Black Desert tackle that? If it does it all, how does it tackle that? What's Black Desert's answer to that traditional PvE content?
Okay, so for the more end-game related PvP, this falls under one of the changes that we've put in place. Again, unlike the Korean counterpart, we've implemented what they're currently called field bosses. Before, there were a series of bosses that you would use a scroll summon and you could kill them on your own or with a small group of people. These have been changed to where they spawn in the open world. They're fairly big, they're powerful. I'd suggest bringing about 30 to 40 people, unless you're highly geared and know the game, know the fights, and can really coordinate. You could probably pull it off with, I'd say, 15 at the bare minimum, probably more like 20. Whoa. These have a fairly good loot table. They are contested, they're open world. You can get attacked while you're fighting them, so you need to be careful. But these open world bosses, they exist. Currently, there is the Red-Nosed Imp. There is the Big Mudster. He's a mudman. there's Hex Marie, that's a witch, and there's the Habitate Tree Spirit. Each of these have a timer, they spawn, they have an area that they roam around, and they're yours to hunt down. What's coming in future content, this has been seen in other regions, there's 2 major world bosses. The first one's called Kazaka. He is a gigantic demon, spawns down in a temple, drops one of, if not the most powerful weapon in the game. Outside of him, later on, whenever we get Valencia, there's a dragon that spawns there that has multiple spawn locations. You're going to have to find him. And once you've found him, takes a lot of people to take him down, drops the most powerful offhand weapon in the game. If you want to get these kind of items, you're going to have to go out and hunt these types of monsters down. Now, one of the most recent things that we've seen from the KR content is a type of dungeon. Now, this isn't you go through the swirling portal and you and your 5 friends are in their own pocket universe. This is a dungeon that has multiple points of entry, and it's still an open world dungeon. The monsters in there are significantly more powerful. It's harder. You need coordination. It's not something that I would recommend doing by yourself. You can. It's going to be a little difficult, but you could definitely do it. And the game actually employs a handful of areas that are what I would consider open world dungeons. These are areas that have well above average power, and they're highly packed, and typically those monsters will have items that are highly sought after. Either they sell very well to NPCs, or it's a piece of equipment that is very, very desirable.
So, in a nutshell, what we probably need to tell people in the nicest possible way, this ain't Azeroth.
No, it is not.
And I don't mean that, to take anything away from any game, because they're all amazing, but what I mean is that, this is a real sandbox. This game is not doing things to limit the social interaction between players. It is doing things to encourage it, to make you feel like you're part of a living, breathing world. When you go out there, if you want to go to, if you want that great loot from that big boss, you better bring your friends with you, because there's a chance that there's going to be other people out there. So it really is, in my opinion, the epitome of a sandbox. That's what it is. So now my next question, Joe, is this one seems to be popping up a lot in chat right now. The IP, I guess, restrictions. A lot of people seem to be concerned about how restrictive the game is to certain countries. Now, I don't know what the breakdown is, but it just seems like there's a lot of concerns about that. Any thoughts on on that right now, and who the game will be available to come launch, etc.? Is this the final product of that, or?
It's honestly really hard to say. The company that creates the game, they're called Pearl Abyss. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of them. Not too terribly long ago on their Facebook, they've made public statements that they want to make Black Desert available to everyone in the world. I don't know which publishers they're looking at going through. I'm not sure who's going to end up getting those regions, whether it's Dom or if there's another one in mind. We want to be able to provide service. It's simply a matter of the IP and the contract behind it.
Makes
It's
sense.
something that we deal with on a regular basis, a daily basis. That is probably the single most discussed point, and it's something that we have not stopped looking at, and we will continue to look at.
Okay. And now, I think the 2 most sought after pieces of information from my community, at least, is, the classes that we have yet to get, and I forget what the other one was, but I know that people are definitely excited about the classes that we don't have yet, and obviously future content. Now, as a variety MMO broadcaster myself, I keep my ear low to the ground with regard to the genre, and I know that the coming months are going to be very, very busy for the MMO genre. What are you guys doing to maintain pace with everything that's coming out? Are we, if you can share, how long are we looking at waiting before we get caught up, let's say, to the other regions in terms of the classes and the content? Valencia, the one of the things that I'm most excited about, because I'm myself, I'm going to do a mercenary guild, so I really want to have access to that city where you can have negative karma and you can hang
The
out there.
bandit city in the desert.
The bandit city. So what are you guys thinking regarding the timeline of this new content?
As much as I would love to be able to give a definitive date, it's not even something that we're holding back. I do not have a set timeline. The best answer I can honestly give you is as soon as we can possibly get it out there. There's a lot of content that people are looking for, and we're aware of it. There are the additional classes. Originally, people called them the Blader and the Plum. It's Musa and Mawe. That's the samurai-looking classes. Following those two, there's the Ninja and the Kunoichi. Those are really highly sought after.
Yes.
Coming after that, I mean, we have the Skill Awakenings. That's where the classes go beyond level 55 and get a whole new weapon set, or a whole new weapon and a whole new set of skills that go with it. Adding in Media, adding in Valencia, there is a lot of content in the pipe, and we want to get it published and get it out so people can enjoy it. The sooner we can get caught up, the better. Valencia is where we're at in Korea right now, and there's more content coming. PA is actually very fast at generating and publishing this content, and it's really healthy overall for the game to have that steady flow of something new to do. It staves the idle hands, stops people from getting bored. So while I can't give a definitive date, I can go with soon TM and say we want to get it out to you guys.
Okay, fair enough. I appreciate the honesty. I mean, I prefer a straight up, answer of, I don't know, than, jumping around all over the place. So I definitely appreciate that. Now, I guess, I can answer the gender lock question, guys. I mean, I don't think they're going to change the gender locking. That's why there is a female and male counterpart for most of the classes. So I think, I think that's their answer to that. I don't see them making that change. But Joska, do you want to confirm or elaborate on that at all, or am I hitting that on the head? Or
I'm going to delay on that, but I have a good reason for it this time. Very recently, via the forums, we reached out to the community and we asked them to provide us with a series of questions that they really want to know. And the gender lock on classes was one of those questions. Those questions have been given to the developers. As soon as we get the answers back, we will have them localized, and that's something that we're going to have live on the forums in the very near future. So keep an eye on our news and announcements section, and hopefully we can get a lot of insight in what PA actually has in store, get some answers to the questions that a lot of people have been asking, and more good news on the horizon. I'm personally very much so looking forward to seeing it.
Interesting. Well, there you go. Wow. Okay. Got a question regarding scarring. A couple of people in the chat feel like scarring on a character is a very important piece of character customization. Why did we choose not to offer that?
So scars, as in the cosmetic sense, correct? Like tattoos, body art, things of
Right.
that nature?
Yes. I'm assuming so. Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's no set reason why it's not available at the moment. If that's a feature that players want to see, or if there's anything like that, a new form of content, if you will head over to the suggestion section of the forums, I read through that every day. I take notes, I take in that feedback. A lot of things are said over and over again, or some threads become incredibly popular. All of that is noted. The forums are actually one of the main outlets for giving us your feedback, and if you can take the time to write it out, to explain what you want or why you think it would be good for the game, it's not going to be ignored. I thoroughly enjoy reading the feedback and the suggestions from the community. I think that the collective thought put behind a lot of these concepts has a lot of merit, so scarring on a character, post it.
Okay. And next question, and by the way, Joska, please let me know when we're at the 5 or 10 minute mark for your time. That way I can make sure that, because I know you're busy with the beta and everything like that. And again, I can't tell you how appreciative we are that you took the time to come on here and just be an interactive part of the stream. It means a lot to me, and I'm sure I can speak for my community. It means a lot to them. I do have a pretty juicy question for you, though. This one's going to be juicy. I like this one. Let me scroll up on the screen here. You know, the main focus of Black Desert in PvP-wise is mainly open world, but seeing how popular games like Blade and Soul are, because of the well-made arena with gear normalization and balancing, it's something that a lot of players want and would like to see in Black Desert. Is that something that's being considered? Are you guys anywhere even on that train yet of an instanced PvP situation?
Well, one of the mechanics that exists currently in KR is called the Crimson Battlefield. This is an island way out in the ocean that you can queue for from a safe zone similar to channel changing. And what this is a 40v40 battle royale. You can join and you'll either be placed on the red team or the blue team. Okay. The match will begin. You accrue points by getting kills, by having kill streaks. One of the neat mechanics in it is as you get more kills, you become more valuable, and whoever beats you, kills you, gets additional points. So ending other people's kill streaks is actually very, very important. This is a mechanic that originally started off as a open world concept where you roamed around the world and hunted people down. It was shifted over to this island to make it a bit more instanced, to make it more competitive, and that way the Guild War system still covers your flat open world combat. It gives you a new type of content. By participating in this, you get a item called a red seal. This can be turned in or used to get some very powerful gems that go into your equipment. Specifically, it's 2 gems, one's for weapon, one's for armor. And all in all, it's a pretty enjoyable thing. I've played in it personally, and I enjoy it. And I'm looking forward to seeing it in our region.
That is amazing. I mean, the 40 versus 40 in addition to the open world PvP, you just made my month. I'm good.
Oh, you can group queue for it as well. I should mention that.
Oh,
you don't
can
have
group
to solo queue.
So I can go there with my guildies now as well.
You can go in with a group of 5, yes.
Okay, so even though you just made my panties drop, I'm sorry, I have to say that, okay? Even though you made my panties drop, I know the question coming up next would be, is there a possibility, even though it's not in now, for I mean, I don't want it. I'm just going to be honest, okay? All I want is, I want this big stuff, but what about a smaller scale engagement system? Is that something that might be possible later on down the line? I mean, is that something that, you guys are looking at? What do you think about something smaller and more controlled? Let's say, like, I don't know, a 5v5 or something for those guys that really want to get in there and be elite and all that stuff.
Well, okay, first, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but every city has an arena next to it. Now, this isn't the standard arena like what we're discussing. This is an open world. Walk into it, you can kill anybody, no penalties. You get to revive instantly at full HP MP. It's a little blood ground. It's an area to practice, in my opinion. One city is different from the rest, and that's Media. Media has an arena that you have to physically travel to, and with a group of 3, you queue for it, and you can fight against another group of 3. Now, this isn't instanced. It takes place in that arena. It has a cooldown, so you can't spam it continuously, and it does have a leaderboard for it.
Wow. Okay. Now, Joska, this next question, and then I think we'll let you go about your business. I definitely want to give you an opportunity to address your community here with anything you may want, but I'm holding off on determining what type of guild my guild is going to be, specifically time zone related, because we don't know what time the sieges are going to be. And obviously, we know that, as a mercenary guild, we want to be there for those sieges to shake things up and say, hey, who's going to pay us? And whoever doesn't pay us, we're going to kick some butt. So is there any idea on when we'll have that information so that we can, guilds can plan around that and recruit accordingly, if that makes sense? Uh-oh. Oh, are you there, Joska? Hello? Hello? Uh-oh. Did I get booted? Is everything okay?
User in your channel timed out.
Am I still live? Hello? I scared him away! I'm sorry. I scared him away! Did I really scare him away? Joska! Joska! Sakura-chan! Kagebushin no Jutsu! Forbidden question jutsu.
It was at this moment that Nathan knew.
No, his internet died. He'll be back. Oh, man. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, I want to say thank you for hanging out. You know, we're actually on TeamSpeak live with the community manager, Joska, asking him questions about Black Desert. And we're going to highlight this, and I'm going to put it on YouTube. I'm going to put it everywhere for you guys. He'll be back in a little bit, I'm sure. If not, it's totally fine. What an amazing set of just news, right? So, some of the things that we asked was, we asked, okay, what about, instanced PvP? Personally, if I want instanced PvP, I'll go play one of the games that does it best, and that's Blade and Soul. So he said that in Korea, they do have a 40 versus 40 battleground. So I'm really excited about that. That you can queue for. I don't think they have any plans of really small scale stuff. They really couldn't give us a timeline on when we're going to catch up to Korea. He said as soon as we can get the content, like the new classes and all that good stuff, we would get it.
Mic check 1 2 3 on a different computer.
Hey, welcome back, sir. Welcome back.
All right, sorry about that. My other computer decided that it wanted to restart, so I stepped over to another one.
No, not a problem. Did you get the question, or should I repeat it?
If you could repeat the question for me.
I can do that. So, I'm sure that a lot of guilds are chomping at the bit for this little piece of information, including myself, because I want to make sure that I recruit accordingly, and I've got members online for this. Do we know when we're going to get the information for the critical events of these servers, specifically, but not limited to the sieges, as to when that's going to happen, so that I can make sure as a guild leader that I'm recruiting guildies so that we can go out there and be a force to be reckoned with as a Merc guild? And I'm sure, most guilds want to know, but do you guys have that information, or do you know when we might be able to get that information?
It's actually a really good question. I don't know the answer to it, but that's something I'm fairly confident I can find out and get that news posted up on the website quickly. Yeah, we should definitely be able to get that up and ready. So as soon as I get an answer, I'll get that one out to the public.
Fantastic. Now, I understand, my last question would be, I understand why this is in place. I get it for this game. But I'm going to ask it anyway because a few people are asking it. The guild roster limitation of 100 guildies. I guess my question is that set in stone? Could that go up in the future? Maybe with later content, guilds are able to go do something to increase their roster size. And then the second part of that question is, if the guild roster is going to remain at 100, is there or will there be an alliance system in the game so that during these sieges, sister guilds are not kicking the crap out of each other accidentally?
That's actually something that we have been getting feedback on and that we're looking into. We do not have a definitive plan for it at this moment. We want to see how the sieges go. We want to see how the guilds interact with these limitations in place, and then we can make adjustments accordingly. We could have used data from the other regions, but each region, the players play together differently, and we want to make sure the solution that we put in place or the path that we take with it is for our community and not based off of information that really may not apply to the people that are on our version of the game. So once we get more data on it, then we can review it. This is something that we really didn't want to rely on speculation or other numbers to come up with a solution. It's fairly specific to our player demographic.
It is. It absolutely is. And I understand both parts of it. You know what I mean? Because my personal opinion would be, if there's a 100 guild cap, totally cool. I get it. But I think it would be, you would really be putting the icing on the cake if there was, if it was going to be that kind of thing. It would really be great if there was some kind of alliance system, so that way sister guilds during sieges, because you can correct me if I'm wrong. From what I understand about sieges, that's open game. Anybody can go in there, right? I mean, I can take my mercenary guild, go in there and say, hey, who's paying us? Nobody? Oh, we're kicking the crap out of everybody. Am I looking at that correctly?
Any guild is eligible to enter into the siege. Now, mechanically, to participate, your guild has to actually build a siege tower, but there's no restriction on that. If you have a guild, you can build a tower, you can participate.
Oh, okay. So when the siege is happening, my guild, as a mercenary guild, would have to build a tower in order to PvP, flag up in there. We can't just go
That is
in there.
correct. The tower is kind of like your entry ballot, and you have all the time in the world before the siege begins to get that tower built. Your whole guild can pull resources together. They're not very expensive at all. But once you get that tower built, no one in the world can see it except your guild till the siege begins. Then you have your tower, that's your entry ballot, and you're free to roll in there and play as you see fit, whether you're helping, hurting, or going in it alone. That's purely at your discretion. Any guild is eligible to enter into a siege.
Nice. Now, okay, one more question, and that is it. I promise,
All right.
Josca. I promise. Well,
Okay.
I just kind of thought of something. How am I going to be a mercenary guild if there's no trading in the game? So, and I know I'm joking with this in a way, but I'm not, because I didn't realize that. But my question is the trading. I understand that the trading is meant to be more of an anti-bot measure than anything else. Do you feel yourself as an MMO player, and I'm curious to the chat's question as well. So chat, can you say yes or no? Do you feel that the lack of a trading option kind of takes just a little incy-bincy bit away from the sandbox element of the game, in that, for example, I was originally going to have a merchant guild support the mercenary guild and vice versa. I know that there are players who want to focus on crafting and, give guildies a discount, right? So, if I focus on crafting or something like that, I want to, go ahead and be able to hook my guildies up cheaper. Is there a way to address that in any way, or how do you guys feel about trading?
Well, I can speak from personal experience here. Whenever I first started playing Black Desert, I played with my friends, obviously, and at first it really caught me off guard. I couldn't open up trade and give my friend this sword that I used to use, and that's pretty different. I mean, that's not what you normally see, and at first I felt like it was restricting me. After playing the game for a while, when I had progressed and more of people came and started to play with me, instead of just giving them a handout, what I ended up doing was we would actually party up and we would go and play the game together. We would go and they were able to fight monsters that they normally couldn't fight because they weren't at that level of the game. And I don't necessarily mean like power leveling them. I mean, I had fairly high-end gear, and I could go farm and fight against the harder monsters, the tougher ones. They do more damage, more HP, all of that. I could bring people with me, and they would actively play, and then whatever dropped, etc., I'd just send it their way instead of me taking it. So I was still able to help my friends, but it wasn't just you're getting freebies. You still had to do work to get it. And I can see a lot of merit in that, but on the counter hand, I do see the concerns to where my friend just started playing. I want to hand him a set of armor and a weapon, and it's been a major point of discussion.
Yeah, because I like you, I can definitely see both points. I guess in a perfect world, this is just my opinion, and the chat they're probably gonna kick my ass. I don't know if you've ever played Age of Wushu, okay? But in Age of Wushu, you could literally go into the city and you could set up a stall and you could sell your stuff that way. Well, I guess that's what your local auction houses would be for, so never mind. We kind of have that. So, no, never mind. Okay. No, good answer, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Now, Joska, is there anything at all that you want to share with members of the BDO community? I'm going to do a recap after this, guys, with your help. We're going to recap what we asked Joska and the answers that we got. And then I'm going to highlight this entire segment here. So, Joska, is there anything at all that you want to share with the community? Maybe any burning questions or anything at all, my friend? Please just go right ahead and let us know.
There's no one particular point that I really want to touch on, but one of the messages I'd really like to get out there to the community is a lot of the players, you've been very vocal. You've given your feedback. I've seen players write essays, give dissertations on different ideas, different concepts, mechanics, either things that exist now or things that were considered in KR or things they want to see. And I really appreciate that type of feedback. Whenever you take the time to write out and think about what you would like to see in the game or just to share your thoughts, your insight on it, not only is it interesting, it's helpful. And it shows a level of dedication and interest to the game that is incredibly valuable. So I want to thank everyone that has participated in that manner. And I really hope to see it continue. And as the community grows, I hope to see more feedback like that.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is CM Joska. That is the community manager. That is the person that you're reading his posts on the forums. He is the one he is our bridge, our gateway to the developers of Black Desert Online. And once again, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time. This was a completely unsolicited interview, ladies and gentlemen. He just jumped into the channel, said, you know what, let's chat. And so major props, to any developer that does something like that and wants to interact, with their content creators, people that are showing their game off. Joska, I look forward to the continued communication with you, both from a broadcaster's perspective and more importantly, just from a part of the community. I know for myself, I plan on investing a lot of time in this game come launch. And I can't tell you, again, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
It has been an absolute pleasure. I do have to get back to work now, but I will be rolling around the different Twitch channels. I hope to see a lot of you guys and ladies, of course. So enjoy the beta. I look forward to seeing all of you at launch, and it's been a pleasure. I'm sure we'll be talking again soon. I'm saying that